Hi guys, we're going to spend some time today going over some basic definitions and examples for types of triangles that you have. And also we're going to work through how to talk about what kind of angles are inside of a triangle. So we got kind of two pieces to look at. So first of all, when they talk about types of triangles, triangles are really determined in two ways and named. One is based on their actual angles, so the angles inside, or they're also based on the length of the sides. So really there are two names that kind of come through, or two kinds of ways names come through. So the first one that they look at here is acute triangle. That is when all of the angles inside of the triangle itself are less than 90 degrees. So 72, 54, and 54. So when I look at this there, all the angles are less than 90. So that's part of what we look for. Then if I look at obtuse, if you have an obtuse triangle, that means one angle is bigger than 90. So if we take a look at this example, you can see this one angle right here is bigger than 90. So this is the obtuse angle. It only has to have one. That means the other two are going to have to be acute because they have a set amount of degrees that can be in a triangle. If you have one really big angle, then the other ones are going to have to be small to kind of put it in the right spot. Okay, now we also have right triangles. So when you see a right triangle, two things might happen. Either there's some kind of little square that's in the corner, or it is actually marked as 90 degrees. Either way, that's the way that it looks at it. So this is the right angle or the 90-degree angle, and that's what makes it a right triangle. So all three of those are all things that are based on the angles inside. So this is the name that happens because of the angle. Okay, then we're going to look at things that are based on the lengths of the sides. So if I have isosceles, isosceles has two sides that are the same length. And you can see right now they have these little marks here. And notice they both have a marking of 1. Those are actually called tick marks. But that marking of 1 here and the marking of 1 here means that they are the same measurement. Okay, so you have two sides that are the same. Equilateral. So equilateral has three sides that are the same. So that means every single side has got to be the same length. Now, if it's scalene, scalene means no sides are the same. So that means if I had a tick mark of 1 there, this one would be 2. That means that it's a different marking. It's a different length. This would be 3. So they are all different. So those are the ones that are probably the most important out of what you're going to see. Okay, the other piece that we need to talk about is the angles inside. So I marked the angles inside of this triangle right here with that blue. So you'll see these three angles are what I'm talking about. So angles inside of a triangle always total up to 180, always. It can't be bigger, it can't be smaller, it has to be exactly 180. So if you take a look right now at these, I have 68, 41, and 71. So when I'm looking at those angles, if I were to go through and total those up, they equal exactly 180. That also is good because if for some reason I didn't know what one of them was, I could figure that out because I know they have to add up to 180. So let me show you what I mean. So here's a triangle right here that I can see. It has three angles inside. It has 38 degrees, 85 degrees, and then whatever C is, it's C degrees. So we know that if I were to add up all three of those, it has to equal 180. Now, the good news is I can actually add those together. So if I have 38 and 85, this is 123 degrees together. And I know there's some missing angle here of C, and I know it equals 180. So basically, to find this angle, I'm going to take the total, and I'm going to subtract this amount that I have for the other angles. So if I have 180 and I subtract my 123 from it, I'm going to end up with 57 degrees. That means that's what C has to be. Now, if I'm not sure if that's really right, I should be able to take all these three angles now and add them together. And just like we said, you should be able to add them together and get 180 degrees. So you kind of have a way to kind of check yourself before you wreck yourself to make sure it's right. Okay, let's take a look at one more. So here's another one that has a missing angle. I know it also has 82 and 55. Now, if I don't know what this is, I can call it X or A or some variable. But I know that when I add those up, it's got to equal 180. Now, the good news is if I add those two together, I get 137, and then X, when I add it together, gives me 180. So if I want to find that, I can do 180 minus 137, which is 43, and that's what this is going to be. Now, again, if you don't believe that's true or you're like, man, I'm not sure, I should be able to add all three of those up, and I should be able to get 180 degrees. Now, it is important that you actually add them up and don't just write equals 180. So really make sure that you kind of know what you're doing on that. Okay, we're going to continue some work with triangles when we come back.